The show opens up with Brad calling 911, telling them that the child isn't breathing. And she's asking questions, and I'm guessing Brad don't really know the answers to them, because he doesn't know medical stuff. So he said there is a fireman that lives across the street. I'm gonna go get him. And as he was running across the street to get the fireman, um, the two ladies, what's their name? Natalie and Eddie's ex-wife, hit him, and he was and after they got out the car to make sure he was okay, he told them he's not breathing, and now they're all running to the door. Esperanza got on the phone because Brad had 911 on hold. Esperanza got on the phone and was saying that we need an ambulance, and she was beginning to give the address when Natalie said, hold on," and she said that the baby's breathing. He was on his. They were saying that he can't be on his stomach, and he should always be on his back or something. And Brad said, "Well, Marcy must have put him. He didn't know." And he said, Marcy must have put him there like that. Natalie took so long to tell them that the baby wasn't dead. They kept asking, "He's not dead, is he? And do we need an ambulance?" And she was like holding her hand out for them to be quiet. And then she finally said, after I know at least 2 minutes, "He's sleeping." Once they got the baby situation under control, Natalie and Esperanza began to talk about Alex, and being coy, and Brad said, Do you know something?" And they were like, being just really coy and not really answering his question. And then finally, Natalie said what he needs to know. We left her at a bar, and Esperanza said, "And you need to go get her." Brad said, "I'm not doing that." Esmeralda said, "She's at a sleazy, dirty bar." And Brad said, "So she's at a sleazy bar?" She said, "Yes." He said, "Well, it suits her." Esmeralda is trying to tell him to go get Alex, but she's not thinking. They're not married anymore. Brad really doesn't have anything, that he don't control Alex. She's gone off the deep end, but legally they're apart. Natalie was on her way walking home, and Kelly's ex-husband is living in her house while she's in jail. And he stopped Natalie and asked her when Justice, his son, is getting home. And they agreed he was getting home around 3. And I guess he was talking like he was going to come back at 3. So Natalie told him that Kelly don't really want you to see him. And he was like, "Why?" And she was like, "I think she wants to talk to him first." And he said, "Okay, do you think that Lucius could get me in to see her?" And Natalie said, "I'll ask." And he said, "Well, by the way," he said, "can I borrow some bread?" And she said, "Bread? You want some money?" He said, "No, I want to borrow some bread." She said, "Oh, okay." Alex's doctor came over to see how Brad was doing. And while she was there, Brad showed her Alex's website where she go to meet men. Um, the doctor kept saying, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry," and he was saying, why are you, why do you keep saying that?" And he said that he's gonna have to come in and get checked, because if Alex then gave him something, and she stopped him, and she told him, "You may want to see somebody." He said, "No, no, thank you." And so the doctor said, "Well, I just came to check on you," and she got ready to leave, and she left, but not before Brad apologized for being rude. She said, "I understand, I really do." Kelly's ex-husband has company. It's the same girl that was with Rick when Rick was asking her for information and he said he was flirting with her to get that information. That girl. And so evidently he know her from the jail because she's a, an off, what do you call it, a sheriff, deputy sheriff, or maybe clerical part of the deputy sheriff. She was talking about how good he looked, and he told her, well, thank you, I couldn't have got out of jail without you. And she said, well, you better not tell anybody I helped you get out of jail. She said, who lives here? She was saying, she was asking about, they were flirting with each other, and he wanted to sleep with her, and she was like, she said, man, I gotta go to work, we ain't got but an hour. And he said, well, we don't have, well, we can make use of that time, is basically is what he was saying. And then she was like, who house is this? Is this your mama house? And he said no. Finally he broke down and said, it's my ex's house. She said, this is your ex's house? You ain't finna have no beat trying to beat me down. Then she looked around to see if she could see some pictures to see whose house it was. And she looked around and saw it was Kelly's house. And she said, is that her? Kelly Isaacs? He said, you know her? He said, I was her nurse. That's what she is, a nurse. I was her nurse when she was in county. She said, wait, is this where she killed Travis? Now I know I'm finna get out of here. And she got on down. She said, you too horny. You better call one of your other strays. He got on the phone and called the next woman. Terrell. Terrell is his name. Alex is still on the bull. Randall came through the door and said, what the hell going on here? She said, I'm riding the bull. This is Alex. I'm riding the bull. He said, I see you back to your hillbilly roots. And she said, yes. Yes, I am. She got Randall to help her off the bull, and she went to Johnny, the bartender, and said, I'm going to need another shot. I mean, is it me or that's all she doing? She ain't, well, I guess the days on here run into each other. It's probably the same day. So she's still drinking from the same day. The bartender said, what can I get for your friend? Talking about Randall. And he said he didn't want anything. And the bartender said, if you come in this bar, you got a drink. Randall said, I said I'm good. Alex interjected and said, oh, it's fine. He'll have a beer. So Alex ordered him a beer. Randall asked Alex, who the hell is that? She said, that's my sponsor. He said, your sponsor? What you stop drinking? She said, no. He's just gonna help me while I'm trying to figure things out. I'm staying with him until I figure things out. Randall started laughing, talking about, I finally did this. She said, what? He said, I drove you mad. Alex laughed and said, no, you didn't. Alex said, I am free. I can do whatever I want. Randall said, damn, girl, you can't do that. She said, why? He said, because I'm not through making your life a living hell. She said, that laugh. You know how when you laugh and you spit at the same time? Like, whatever. She said, and you can't do that because I don't care anymore. It doesn't matter. The pressure is off. Randall said, yeah, you going back home. Let's go. She said, no, I'm not. Randall said, I said, bring your ass. And pulled on her arm and said, let's go. Alex said, I'm not going anywhere. You're not going to take me out of here. Randall said, you want to bet? Alex said, look around. See where you are with a lot of good old boys. Do you really want to be grabbing up on me like that? Randall started pulling her arm, trying to drag her out of there. And the bartender pulled a gun on him and told him to get out of here. You drag on her like that again, I'm gonna shoot you. But he said he gonna splatter his brains on the floor, and he put him out with the gun on him the whole time. He started twirling the gun. He blew the gun and twirled it and telling Randall to get on out of here. Alex said, "Ooh, I love a man with a gun. I really do. I gotta get me one of them." Eddie bust into Larry's office. His secretary was trying to stop him. Larry said, "That's okay, let him in." Eddie said, "I got something for you." Larry said, "Ooh, should I take my clothes off?" Eddie said, "No, leave your clothes on. Open your mouth nice and wide." Larry said, "Ooh, that's different." Eddie asked Larry, what would the price tag be on a list of names that Kane Kid, Travis, uh, a list of names that Kane Kid assaulted? Because you represent the church. How much is it worth? Larry asked Eddie where he got the information, and he told him, "I got it out of Kelly's cell. A lady from the church came by and gave her the information." And so Larry said, "So they are trying to get her off." So Larry don't really care that the woman is innocent. He just want, well, I guess that's what lawyers do. They just want to win. They don't care if the next person is innocent. They just want to win the case. So he called Ian in the room and told him about what Eddie said and where he got the information out of Kelly's jail cell. Ian act like he don't know what's going on, and Larry said, "Have you got in touch with Carl yet?" He said, "No, I haven't got in touch with him yet. I will though." Larry told Ian he was useless, and then he asked Eddie, "How much is this worth to you?" Eddie said, "Let's start with 200,000." Um, Larry laughed and said, "I can give you 50,000 right now in cash." Eddie tried to hold out, tried to strong arm a little bit, but he gave in. Really quickly, he gave in for the 50K. Larry told Ian to go get it for him. Larry said, "There's no other copies of this, right?" And Eddie said, "Nope, that's the only one." Larry said, "That's good to know." Esmeralda was talking to Steven and told him about where Alex was, and she wants to go get her. And he said, "Does she want to leave?" She said, "No." And in so many words, he said, "She's grown. Let her stay and enjoy herself." And Esmeralda said, "I don't like the way she's drunk, and I don't like the way those guys were looking at me or her. Are you gonna go with me?" And he said, "Yes." "Well, let me talk to Lucian for a minute." And then he walked off, and Stephen peeped in to tell Lucian that the DA's here and she wants to see him. Ian was in Lucian's office at the time Stephen went in. He was telling him about Eddie selling Larry the information. On their way to see the DA, uh, Lucian, Lucian and Ian ran into Larry. Larry said, "What are you doing here?" He said, he named the Vasquez case, I believe. The Vasquez case. He said, "Well," he said, "What are you doing here?" He said, "The DA wants to see me. Um, why don't you come with me?" And so Larry, Ian, and Lucian went into this room where the DA was sitting and waiting, along with Carl, Kelly's lawyer. Carl had given the DA a copy of all the pictures that Larry had just sold to Eddie. She had an affidavit along with those pictures that Larry thought was the only copy in his possession. Larry was saying this doesn't matter because this case has been settled out of court. And uh, Carl said, "That's not going to matter with the criminal trial." Larry said, "Is that so?" Larry's still trying to prosecute. DA said, "Nah, we're not prosecuting anything. My office has opened an investigation on all of these allegations." She said, "You and your church, y'all need to get yourself together." Larry told the DA, Are you aware this is an election year? She said, and you say that why? Are you trying to threaten me? He said, not at all. She said, because you know that would not be wise. Lucian, the DA's office is dropping the murder charge. Lucian said, that's great. She said, we believe it was self-defense. We are done here, gentlemen. Larry said, how did you do this? Carl said, I'm good at what I do. He said, so you didn't have any help. He said, me and the good Lord. Hallelujah. Larry left, and Carl and Lucian went to Kelly to tell her the good news. Larry said to Ian, that kid had help. He didn't do this alone. And I know who it was. And Ian was looking kind of, to the side. Who was it? He said, Eddie. Eddie had the same information the kid had. And he took $50,000 from me. And I'm going to get it back. Marcy came through the door and asked, was Alex back yet? Brad said no. And Marcy brought out some legal papers so Brad could get custody of the kids. She told Brad that he needed to sit down and talk to the kids and tell them what's going on. Brad said, well, will you stay? And she said, for the sit down? He said, yeah. She said, I don't know if that's such a good idea. But Brad talked her into it. She's going to stay and talk to the kids with him. I don't think that's a good idea, but hey. He also asked her to move in the house with him. She's acting concerned for the kids. I think that's a lot for them to handle. And she's saying again, he's not your baby. He said, I know that. She's like, are you sure you're ready to take on this responsibility? Because Brad is talking like the baby is his kids and the baby is with them. So he's talking like he's going to raise the kids too. I mean, that baby too. Marcia lets him know every chance she get, that's not your baby. Lucian is with Kelly, and she said, did you find Eddie? He said, yes. And she said, so did you get the pictures back? He said, no. And he's acting all coy, dragging this thing out. This scene is so long. He knows the charges have been dropped, and he's just looking at her and having her ask questions and being scared. And he's not telling her. Just tell her already. Talking about how she can't stay in here. She can't do it. She's fed up. She can't stay in here any longer. And he knows that she's free. And he's just looking at her, shaking his head. As Lucian is dragging this thing on, he said, well, if you hate it in here, you're going to love this guy. And then pops around the corner, Carl. And Kelly said, what the hell is he doing here? Carl said, so hostile. Kelly said, this boy is so damn green, he can't even see straight. He just getting her off. See, Lucian, he knows the girl is free. He just leaving it in the air for her to act a fool and talk about how she can't stand it no more, this, that, and the other. Talk about how green Carl is. And he still ain't telling her. He's not interjecting. This really got to me. Carl said, is that any way to talk to the man that just got you off? Lucian said, she said, what are the words coming out of your mouth? They kept saying, he got you off. You are off. He got you off. And she's still asking, what are you saying? See, what are you saying, Lucian? And finally he said, I'm saying that you're free to go. And he opens the gate to let her out. She's stunned. She's looking stunned. Kelly slowly walked out of the gate, still looking struck, but she was thankful looking. And she was saying, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Carl said, me, the green kid? She said, yes, thank you. And then she looked at Lucian and she said, thank you, Lucian. And then she kissed him, put her arms around Lucian and kissed him. A real kiss on the lips. Lucian was looking shocked and he pulled away. Kelly just laughing. She just laughing. Lucian looking down at her like, what the hell? And it went off. And that was it for this week on if loving you is wrong.